Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. Today I hope to drive this Lada Niva out of the workshop and in through the other port and onto the lift and lift it up and then make a list just like I made on the Trabant the other day. In the last video I actually tried to get it to run, and in the end of that video it fired up shortly and the battery actually ran out of juice. Now it's recharged. And I actually tried it once off camera, and at least that time it just fired up and started to idle pretty good. So I haven't even started to service anything, but yeah, I was expecting that pretty much, but it was a bit harder to get there than I had anticipated. But let's try to fire it up and drive it out of the garage. I think I disconnected the battery. I don't really like to have batteries connected on cars that I don't completely know the electrical system of yet, or on yet. But now I've got power on. Let's try to start it. But I'm just gonna bring you a little bit closer. And yeah, I know I cheated the other day trying to and started it up without filming it. I really should have filmed it, but I just couldn't wait. But hopefully it will be just as easy this time. And if not, then you're just going to have to believe me that it actually fired up the other day and ran almost perfectly from the get-go. Let's try. Into neutral. Choke. Ignition on. Oh, sorry about that. Let's try again. I love stuff like this that just works, it sounds perfect, everything is good. And in the previous video I told you that the clutch was seized. It was seized when I tried to press it, but it cracked loose, and now it's actually working. It seems to be disengaging just like it is supposed to. The brake also seems to at least be spongy, so I think it sort of works. So I'm going to try to drive it out of the garage and in through the other port and onto the lift. This is going to be fun. It might sound a little bit weird, the sound, for you guys now, because you're standing over there. But the sound is being recorded on me, therefore you can hear my voice, and the sound is coming from inside of the car. But let's try, firstly by lowering the choke. Oh, it wasn't ready for that. Let's just fire it up again. Yeah, almost. I'm just gonna lower the choke slightly. Then let's try to press some, let's try to press some buttons. That was some light. I don't know what this is. Don't know what that is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. But we seem to have light. I'm just gonna try to slowly go forward and press the brakes. The brakes are working. A bit spongy maybe, but it's working. I'm gonna try to drive it out of the garage. It is slightly downhill. It's a lot. It's actually very steep downhill, so I need the brakes to be working. Just another test. Yeah, they are working. Oh, it's driving. I was expecting it to be driving because it was driving a couple of years ago when I watched when the guys from Team Army Truck owned the car. They drove it around. So yeah, it's not that long ago. Yeah, we have brakes and it can hold it. It can actually hold itself on my ramp. That's a good thing. Whoa. Lots of funky sounds coming from this beast of a car. got a slightly larger turning circle than what I'm used to. This should be good enough. It sounds so awesome. And also a bit worrying from the bottom end, not the engine, but the car. Some weird sounds coming from there. Hopefully it fits the lift. The Trabant doesn't fit the lift. I can't lift the Trabant on the lift. It's way too short wheelbase. And this could be the same. Ooh. Can you see? Am I hitting the roof? Apparently not. Whoa. That seems to be actually too short wheelbase wise for the lift as well, because it won't clear the wheels when I lift it. I think. I'm not sure, but it's working. It's working rather nice. The oil pressure reached 0, but I am suspecting that it's not really working. I hope. Well, maybe I should check the oil pressure on this because it is reading 0. I don't think it's 0, but we need to check that out. Because also, remember from the previous video, there was a light indicating 0 oil pressure that went out when I cranked the engine, so oil pressure at least raised to the threshold of the warning lamp, but that lamp is no longer present. So even though I know it could crank pressure, I'm not sure that, and it's all good. So I put rubber blocks underneath, and as you can see, this is an issue I'm having with this car and with the Trabant, and actually also with the A112. My lift is pretty small, but apparently the small or short wheelbase I tend to fall in love with seems to be a bit of an issue. It was the same on the Panda 4x4. It could just barely be there, but it was very hard to position it so that all 4 wheels was able to spin when it was lifted up in the air. On this one, it will not be able to spin the tires at all when I lift it. It will just be jammed by these. It's not going to lift it by that, but they will be jammed, so they won't be able to turn. So, but we can lift it up now, I think, and check the underneath for the first time. Oh, it's gonna be scary. Of course, I have looked underneath, and I also showed a bit of video material from underneath, but a real look is going to be exciting. So one Lada Niva is going up into the air. Let's get a hammer. I got this hammer that I tend to use to poke around for rust, but it's not designed for that. But I have no idea what's it designed for. I seem to have some very clever and knowledgeable viewers on my channel, so maybe some of you can tell me what this is. It got some sort of hole in there that you can do something with. I don't know. So first thing I'm gonna try to take a look at is this inner wheel arch, because this is a place that cars tend to rust, and a lot of very thick paint has been applied to this inner wheel arch, which could be a good thing and a very bad thing, because it could hide a lot of rust, and I expect a lot of rust to be hiding underneath here. So let's try. Maybe I should get a screwdriver. Maybe one of these could do the trick, just to peel some of the paint off, or filler, or whatever it is. Oh, there's actually seems to be metal behind all this crap. That is kind of surprising. It actually looked like a moisture trap, or maybe that someone actually fixed some holes with putty. But wow, this is actually solid. I was not expecting that. What do we have in there? Completely solid, nice. It's just, it needs to be converted at least and grinded back. This is at least a lot better than the Austin Metro that I also have. It's not saying a lot, but still. And then also I was expecting the seals, the rocker cover, the rocker panels or seals or whatever you want to call them, to be completely gone, but they are actually not completely gone at least. Could be a hole right there. I can't punch a hole in this, but it's very thin, so I need to make a patch there at least. Let's check the rear wheel arch. Of course, there's no reason to actually begin to hit on that because there's already holes where the rust is bad. Someone has been poking, maybe it was Casper, who knows? He told me about it, it's no surprise. This I need to fix. Oh, there's a hole here also. Maybe that was the water tank. The joy of old cars. But well, yeah, this is a bad thing because there is a rust hole, but it's a good thing because apparently there is so little rust in this area that it can actually trap water. That's not bad. But I need to make a patch here at least. Then the rear, the exhaust system is, of course, not original. I was expecting it not to be, but I was unsure. I'm gonna buy a complete new exhaust system for this car. At the rear, I need some new suspension components. I think the gas struts are all right, but as you can see, there's rubber blocks in the springs, and I need to remove them at least. But I think also I might end up just changing them because, yeah, maybe with some raised one, a couple of centimeters raised would be nice. Well, maybe they are all right. I'm actually a bit unsure. But back here, it doesn't seem so bad with the rust. It's just about cleaning and treating. And then, of course, I think I can get new panels for this, and I'm gonna change them because it's not so bad on this side, but it's a lot worse on the other side. So I think I can change this part, and also the jacking point in pretty much one go, so it won't be too bad. And a lot of rust seems to have been concentrated in that area, so I'm gonna do that. And the same on the other side. I'm also gonna change those components on that side. Oh, as you can see, we're having quite a big issue in this area. This is actually torn off the floor already. It's not good at all. It needs to be fixed. And up here in the front, we have pretty much the same issue. New jacking points and a new one of these if I can get it, or at least I will have to rebuild that. We also have some floor rod right here that needs to be fixed. And it's the same story on the other side. Rust. But not as bad as you might expect. Remember, this car is seriously old. It's from 1978. And it has been used, that's for sure, a lot. I think this side is pretty much the same as the other side. It just seems to be pretty solid underneath, but there could of course be some holes, but I don't think it's bad actually. Then in the front we have these brackets for the springs. They are badly corroded to the point that they are so thin they are almost non-existent. I think these can just be bolted on. Either way, they will need to be changed, that's for sure. Let's check the door bottom, because that is always a place cars tend to rot. And this one is no exception. But it's not terrible actually. No holes at least. Remember, this car is not going to be a show car. This car is going to be MOT'd and safe to drive and looking like a bag of nails that someone has dropped on the floor. I think I'm going to change this for the right kind of grill. Then I also need to weld up this front beam because someone has cut out a piece to fit a wrench. This car is really smelling weird of some kind of rubber, and I don't really know what it is that is smelling so much. I hope that it's not the paint, because it's kind of unbearable actually. I hope to find out what it is and remove it or clean it or something, because the entire workshop is smelling of this rubber material right now. So let's see if we can actually feel the condition of stuff. It's difficult on such a brutal vehicle. You can actually not feel any slug in this, but I'm pretty sure that he told me, Casper, that the bearing was not good on this side. I can't hear anything, but I think I'm gonna order one just to have it. I don't think it's that expensive. So now I got a pretty general idea of what I need for this car, for this project, of the metal parts, at least the sheet metal parts, and also some of the mechanical things. I am hoping to put this on my auto whip. My auto whip should be good enough for that, because that would make it easier to fix the rust underneath. But it just seems like a way too big car to put on the auto whip, so I have to do some thinking about that. But it will be easier to do the rust work that way. Next up, I'm gonna actually empty out the car, because there is a lot of parts in this car. First thing is a gearbox. Then we have what I think is called the transfer case. And then we have a crate of parts. And then the last part is a brand new bumper. This is a good catch. You don't need to buy all these parts. That's good. But as you can see right here, the oil pressure gauge reached 0. When I put the ignition on, hey, the light is back on. It wasn't before. Some things are not working proper just yet. But when I fire it up, it shuts off, but it doesn't read anything. So I think in the next video I will be checking the engine health out a little bit and making sure that it actually got oil pressure, because that's important. I think I have seen enough to make a shopping list for this car, just like I did on the Trabant the other day, and then wait for those parts to arrive so I can get cracking on this car. It's a big project, but it's not as bad as expected. I think I have said that many times now. I really think that I have gotten a hold of two very interesting and very manageable projects at the moment, the Trabant and this. I can't wait to get started. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. The next one on the Niva will be an engine health check. We need to make sure that we have some oil pressure on this one. My gut feeling is there is no problem with this engine. I think the oil pressure is just fine. I think it's a gauge related, or the mechanics going to that, maybe a oil pipe or something. I actually think the engine is very healthy. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.